When did I join Foster & Partners?
Yeah.
I joined the practice in 2002 after I finished my Part 2. You asked about some of my projects. Well, I've worked on quite a few projects because I've been here for 12 years now.
Wow.
So that's across the whole different ranges in the UK, Europe, in the States, including the Albion Riverside, Hester Road. Did a project in Croydon and a racecourse project in Redbridge in London. A master plan project in Lisbon, Arizona State University, and Clarence Hotel redevelopment, which was the opportunity to work with you two. That was quite exciting. Some competitions, King's Waterfront in Liverpool, Chamshire, Lotte Tower was, and at the same time we did the Yongsan competition, which was quite memorable, although we didn't win. And the most memorable competition I worked on was the World Trade Center competition when I first joined practice back in 2002. So those are kind of projects that I've been working on. The most recent projects I'm involved. The one in 3 Beirut, it's called 3 Beirut. This is the first project practice doing in Lebanon, and it's we're on site. We're halfway through the project, and then another project in Hanoi. It's called Vietnam Bank. It's a bank headquarter with mixed-use facility, again on site. And finally, I'm doing a project in Russia, in a place called Ekaterinburg. It's a headquarter building for Russia Copper Company, which we're scheduled to break ground in September this year.
Wow, that's a huge experience. Well, what do you think about the architecture philosophy in your company?
I'd say the practice has always been guided by a belief that the quality of our surroundings has a direct influence on the quality of our lives.
Right.
Whether that is the workplace, at home, or in the public realm. Related to that is an acknowledgement that architecture is generated by the needs of people, which is the most important aspect, and concern for the physical context and the culture and climate of place. Equally, excellence of design and a successful execution are central to our approach. The scale, diversity, and global reach of our new projects were unimaginable 40 years ago when we first started. Yet many of the issues that excited us in the early days continue to inform what we do today, because they are all related. I think many architecture from Foster & Partners is this is your question, the next question?
Yeah, I think many architecture from Foster & Partners is important to young people, particularly because it cites about possibilities of architecture. Do you have any projects you believe like that?
We work in the spirit of inquiry, challenging preconceptions and testing conventions. We don't just accept conventional method because it's tried and tested. We always question why that became conventional. If, however, we find better ways through rigorous research and thorough investigation, design process, then why not? We're always open to a different approach and ideas. Several projects come to my mind. First project, I would say, is the Willis Faber in Ipswich. The office building we designed back in 1970. When we designed this building, obviously the place was very different. Back in the 70s, offices were designed as cellular layout. There were no open plan office. This but we introduced this concept in the UK with innovative solutions such as the use of escalators in a 3-story structure, the social dimension offered by the swimming pool, rooftop restaurant and gardens, all of which were very alien at the time.
Yeah.
And but it came together beautifully, and it's well respected and appreciated by the client. And now the building has received Grade 1 listed status. It's the first building to receive this status while the architect is still alive. And that's an honor. That means it cannot be changed. That's a great honor for the practice. The second project, I would say, Stansted Airport, which we did back in 1981. It challenged all the rules of an airport design. Back then, the airport was designed with all the services on the roof. That was the conventional method.
Yeah.
We challenged that, and we basically flipped the diagram to put all the services below the concourse floor and free up the roof to fill the space with light. This idea has become a model for airport planners and designers worldwide ever since, as we all know. Everybody designs airport like that. Without standards, it wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting aspect. In terms of the high-rise, Commerzbank in Frankfurt was the world's first ecological skyscraper. And because it's the tallest building, but it's probably the most ecological functioning skyscraper in the world. And that's because, as an example, where all the offices in the tower is daylit and has operable windows, and still to this date 70% of the year people work without air conditioning. So that saves huge amount of energy. Quite unusual concept as a skyscraper, but we managed to deliver it. And finally, I would say Mazda City in Abu Dhabi. I know it's quite a well-known project.
Yes.
People talked about it a lot. It combines the state-of-the-art technologies with the planning principles of traditional Arab settlements. Tight street to shade the street and minimize exposure to sun, and allowing the occupants to control their own environment, and without using artificial energy. So that again was a very ambitious task, because we were trying to achieve a carbon neutral and zero waste city, not just a building. And in a way we achieved that. And this project offered a blueprint for the sustainable city of the future. So the practice is quite very proud of that.
Well, architecture is often thought as a very functional and cost-related thing. How do you think Foster & Partners is dealing with it and building many practical and beautiful landmarks?
We believe the best architecture comes from a synthesis of all the elements that separately comprise and inform the character of a building. The structure that holds it up, the services that allow it to function, its ecology, the quality of natural light, the symbolism of the form, which is important, the relationship of the building to the skyline or the streetscape, the way we move through or around it. And last but not least, its ability to lift our spirits. This holistic approach is augmented by a strong commitment to the clients we serve. Without clients, there's no project. It's obvious. And also to the public domain and the many users involved. A high degree of personal service coupled with respect to the precious resources of cost and time therefore characterizes our client relationship.
So I believe there must be many difficulties for integrated design with architects and engineers and many support teams. Yeah. So can you tell me about how you work in the design process and any difficulties?
I'm sure you know that our office is a multidisciplinary office, so we have many different departments within the practice. The resource, I think the most challenging aspect is that how to integrate different ideas. Because if you're an architect, you'd obviously have a way of approaching things different to how you would if you were an engineer,
Yeah.
for instance. But then I think the key to successful collaboration is that if you collaborate early enough in the
Yeah.
process and not as one following another, then you have a higher chance of a successful collaboration.
Yes.
And this is exactly how we promote most of our projects in our practice. That we start together and develop the project together in various different aspects, trying to cover as much ground as possible,
Yes.
is, I suppose, the only way to achieving a successful collaborative framework and achieve the most suitable, logical, and beautiful design building.
True. So, what do you think about social responsibility of architect?
I think that there are many different aspects when it comes to social responsibility.
Yeah.
The one that comes to my mind, and the one that our practice is most, think the most important, is the aspect of sustainability. And that's because the resources we take from the planet
Yeah.
are not unlimited, and it therefore is our responsibility to reserve them as much as we can
Yeah.
in order to sustain our environment as best as we can for our future generations. The last decades have witnessed key shifts. Everybody talks about ecology and sustainability. It became a big trend. But our practice, interestingly, started this process back in 1970,
Wow.
when the word sustainability didn't even exist. So this is something that we want to emphasize, that our practice has pioneered a sustainable approach to design,
Yes.
through work that spans that spectrum from master plan to furnished design, to door handles, everything. The environmental awareness is an integral part of the practice culture as it evolves to meet the challenges of the next 40 years.